Previously on the SoJo Files. We have been going over all of the many different versions of events that Eva Millard told for what occurred on November 8th, 2018.
Just saying though, she wasn't whining or nothing, but Jordan, he wasn't mad, he just said, do I need to go to the other room because I'm tired? And I was like, no, we will, because I thought he was mad at me for having her in bed. And actually that's not the truth. But I don't know, stupid me, I don't even know why.
I don't know why you think that when he just said I wanted to sleep.
I don't even know why I thought that. I was tired, I was, just woke up, I didn't know. So I went and I filled up her bottle and I put her bacon on her and tucked her in and I kissed her on the forehead and turned out the light and crawled back in bed with Jordan. And I got up and I went pee, and this is about 30 minutes after he left. I got up and I went pee and I laid back in bed and I checked Facebook. Went straight to the bathroom because that woke me up. The light woke me up. And of course he was. So when I looked at my clock, I want to say it was about 11:30.
On this episode of the SoJo Files, we are going to officially start covering evidence. On this episode, we are going to be looking at the Van Buren Police Department's incident report for November 8th, 2018, and I am going to be reading for you all directly from those reports on what officers claim to have collected what pieces of evidence from November 8th, 2018. Detective Ware wrote in his report, and I quote, Detective Marsh also pointed out areas of the residence where there was blood located. Detective Marsh pointed out blood on the floor in the hallway, on a cabinet in the living room, on the couch in the living room, and on a dresser in the bedroom. I did 2 swabs of the blood for DNA testing and secured them in my unit. The swabs were taken from the living room hallway and from the dresser in the back bedroom. The swabs were taken with distilled water and with sterile swabs and were secured in my vehicle for transport to the Van Buren Police Department evidence room. After leaving the scene, I went to the Van Buren Police Department and secured the suspect's vehicle, which we had seized for evidence. I assisted the record driver in putting the vehicle in the search bay where it was secured for a search warrant. The vehicle was secured and was not entered by myself or the record driver. He went underneath the vehicle and put it in neutral to put it on the rollback, and when we got back to the police department, he went back under the vehicle and put it in park. After the vehicle was parked in the search bay, I secured the vehicle with crime scene tape. To summarize Detective Ware's involvement with evidence collection on November 8th, 2018, he collected 2 swabs, which, to point out, he did mention 4 different spots that allegedly had blood on them, but yet he only collected 2 areas with swabs, but that's, okay, I digress. Detective Ware collected the 2 swabs, one from the hallway and one from the dresser in the bedroom, and then he secured Jordan's truck once it arrived at the Van Buren, Arkansas Police Department. And that's it. That's all Detective Ware claims to have collected as far as evidence goes on November 8th, 2018. Now, let's move on to Detective Marsh, and again, Detective Marsh is who is, at least on the paperwork, said to be the head investigator on the SoJo case. And here is what he had to say about evidence on November 8th, 2018. I then photographed the interior of the residence and secured the perimeter. Corporal DeCrue told me that he overheard the mother saying something about Olivia possibly crawling out of the pack-and-play. Corporal DeCrue also handed me the EKG strip that was administered by EMS. I walked through the residence and made the following observations. The couch in the living room had what appeared to be blood soaked into a cushion. There, a small piece from a diaper, which was the tab used to close the diaper, on the floor next to the couch. There was also what appeared to be blood on the tile floor in the hallway. There was a nightstand that was in the kitchen that had possible blood on the front. There was a trash bag in the trash can in the kitchen. I looked inside the trash bag and there were wipes with possible blood on them. There was a pack and play at the foot of the bed, and the pack and play had bedding inside of it. There did not appear to be any blood in the bedding of the pack and play. There was a swab taken from the possible blood in the hallway, a swab taken from the possible blood on the dresser, and a swab taken from the couch cushion. The section of the couch cushion that was covered in blood was taken in if further analysis is needed. I collected the piece of the diaper and also collected the trash bag from the kitchen. In the kitchen, there was a package of wet wipes on top of the nightstand that was collected. I collected the blankets and sheets from the bed in the master bedroom. I also seized the bedding and mat from the pack and play. While collecting the bedding and mat from the pack and play, I found a yellow pill that was under the bedding but on top of the mat. I collected the pill and it was later identified as clozapam 0.5 milligrams. Next to the pack and play, there was an Arkansas Razorback body pillow. Due to the proximity of this pillow to the pack and play, I collected this pillow. There was a toddler onesie collected that was on the floor next to the dresser that had what appeared to be blood on it. In the half bathroom, there was a black iPhone collected that was on the counter. In the bedroom, across from the master bedroom, there was a clear trash sack of gloves and other items that was collected. As far as Detective Marsh's incident report goes, I really want to point out how he wrote specific details or lack thereof as it applies to evidence collection for November 8th, 2018. Detective Marsh says there was a swab taken from the possible blood in the hallway, a swab taken from the possible blood on the dresser, a swab taken from the couch cushion. The interesting thing about Detective Marsh's incident report for November 8th, 2018, as it applies to evidence and the collection of evidence, is the detail and yet the lack thereof. Marsh states there was a swab taken from the possible blood in the hallway, a swab taken from the possible blood on the dresser, a swab taken from the couch cushion. The section of the couch cushion that was covered in blood was taken if further analysis is needed. There was a toddler onesie collected that was on the floor next to the dresser that had what appeared to be blood on it. Detective Marsh mentions that those pieces of evidence were collected, but he doesn't state how he knows they were collected or who collected them. He just states in general, without any detail whatsoever, that those pieces of evidence were collected. In contrast to that, Detective Marsh is very clear about what he specifically collected. I collected the piece of diaper and also collected the trash bag from the kitchen. I collected the blankets and sheets from the bed in the master bedroom. I also seized the bedding and mat from the pack and play. I found a yellow pill that was under the bedding but on top of the mat. I collected the pill, and it was later identified as clozapam 0.5 milligrams. I think that is very interesting and very telling, and I would make sure to make note of that for future reference, that he was very specific about what he collected, and everything else was just a generic mention that it was collected without any further detail. So as it applies to November 8th, 2018, Detective Marsh is on record saying that he collected the piece of the diaper, the trash bag from the kitchen, the blankets and sheets from the bed in the master bedroom, the bedding and mat from the pack and play, and a yellow pill that was allegedly found under the bedding but on top of the mat in the pack and play, the Arkansas Razorback body pillow, and the EKG strip that was handed to him by Officer Chase DeCrew. And that's it. That's all the evidence that the alleged head detective on the case collected from the crime scene November 8th, 2018. To sum up evidence collection from the crime scene November 8th, 2018 in its totality, we have a swab taken from possible blood in the hallway, a swab taken from possible blood on a dresser from the master bedroom, Jordan's truck, the EKG strip, the fabric cut from the couch cushion that had possible blood on it with no detail on who collected it, the piece of the diaper, the onesie with no detail on who collected it, the pill, the trash bag from the kitchen, the bedding and mat from the pack and play, the blankets and sheets from the master bed, the Arkansas Razorback body pillow, the iPhone from the half bath, and a clear trash sack of gloves and other items with no detail on who collected those. And that's it. That is the totality of evidence collection for the homicide of a 2-year-old on November 8th, 2018. At least, that's the totality of evidence collection on November 8th, 2018, as stated by officers in their incident reports for November 8th, 2018. No other officer that was on the scene, with the exception of Detective Ware and Detective Marsh's incident reports, mentions collecting evidence. No one else. The only 2 people on the scene that discuss evidence collection and that claim to have collected anything from the scene are Detective Ware and Detective Marsh. Now, as far as the evidence log goes, there actually are several other pieces of evidence that have the date of collection as being November 8th, 2018, but no incident report by any officer mentions those items being collected, and they weren't claimed to have been collected by Marsh or Ware in their reports, and some of those pieces of evidence weren't even photographed. We will get into all of that in great depth and detail in upcoming evidence episodes. But as far as evidence collection for November 8th, 2018, this is it. That's all that was collected for November 8th, 2018 in the homicide investigation of a 2-year-old. And it's not a lot of evidence that was collected, but I'm just the true crime podcaster, and I can only report to you the facts that I have based on the evidence and reports that I have for this case. And so I'm not the one that failed Olivia Soto and her family, and I'm not the one that failed Jordan Shreeve and his family, and quite frankly, I'm not the one that is a complete and total embarrassment to the criminal justice system and the people of Arkansas. But that's neither here nor there, and we will get into all of that in great depth and detail throughout the entirety of covering the Shreeve case. So that's it for evidence collection as far as the Van Buren Police Department is concerned for November 8th, 2018, and I will see you guys on the next episode.